what? If you get an email from somebody who says, hey, can I talk to you? I just have an idea. Respond. Because look what we're able to do. So it's my great pleasure to now introduce Anne-Marie Cipriani from the City of Waterloo, and she's going to tell our own great story about what our city is doing. Thank you.
Good evening. Alrighty, with my time with you this evening, I'd like to spend focusing on 4 things. One, about the collaboration that the City of Waterloo has with Sustainable Waterloo. 2, I'd like to look at the City of Waterloo as a corporation and look at a bit at our greenhouse gas emissions and highlight some projects for you. So, we at the City of Waterloo have partnered on common ground with Sustainable Waterloo. They have a mission of making our organizations within this region more sustainable. They also have a vision of a healthy environment and a vibrant economy. And those ideas jived with us at the City of Waterloo. We have an environment first policy, and we have since 1991. It is the impetus for staff at every level with every type of project to consider the environmental impacts that we are having. We have a community vision statement. The community said that by 2020, what they envision is a place where people support one another, where green spaces are healthy and our land and water and air are clean. They vision an economic leader in our community, and that be us, and a strong, diverse economy. They'd envision that this place would be a better place to live. And so, we have joined with Sustainable Waterloo as an observing organization because we are on common ground. We as a municipality realize we have a responsibility. The Federation of Canadian Municipalities recently came out with a report that said that municipalities have a direct or indirect responsibility and control of some 40% of carbon emissions. We see our responsibility. In-house, we had a strong support from council, from our senior management, and from staff. And so we began this collaboration with Sustainable Waterloo. There's this Chinese proverb. It says, tell me something and I'll probably forget. Show me something and I might remember. But involve me and I will understand. And for myself and for us at the City of Waterloo, I really think that that's been our experience with our collaboration with Sustainable Waterloo. We are beginning to understand our impact on the environment. We're beginning to see our carbon emissions and how it might be possible to begin to reduce those. So, let's look a little bit at the technical parts of our relationship with Sustainable Waterloo. Our mayor sits on the advisory board. We, as Lisa mentioned earlier, have sponsored 2 of their events. One of the most interesting parts of the process, and a true example of collaboration, has been that the City of Waterloo staff have sat on a committee with other organizations within the region, actually creating the framework by which these organizations are reporting. That's true collaboration. Sustainable Waterloo has educational forums and technical workshops which help us understand how we will do what we need to do. And a spin-off from all this has been a collaboration with the University of Waterloo to begin to look at some of the community emissions as well. So, we are currently an observing organization. We are moving towards becoming a pledging partner. So, let's look at the City of Waterloo as a business. We are a $120 million business. We have 850 employees. We have more than 50 facilities. That's 1.25 million square feet of facilities. That is also 150 utility bills. Just under 300 pieces of equipment. That includes 3 hybrids and 40 pieces of specialized equipment simply to cut turf. And more than 100 trucks. That includes the half-ton pickups and the sanders and the dump trucks that you see. We manage just under 7,000 hectares of land and represent a community of just shy of 121,000 people. So, where do you begin? In-house, we can almost readily report on Scope 2. We do track our utility data for our city-owned facilities. But there still is work to be done there, and that is what we are doing as an observing organization, taking the time to better understand. We have our utility bills, but what does that mean with regards to our carbon emissions? In Scope 1, we are also taking this time now to get a better handle on our fleet and what the emissions are from our fleet. And in Scope 3, we need to be able to report as a pledging partner on our business travel by air. And so we are now in the process of establishing processes by which we can do that. So you can see in these two pictures, typical view of what you might see on a road, our snowplow, and an aerial shot of City Hall with a green roof on it. Our corporation, as we understand so far, and this is only a part of the picture, so annually we consume an average of 24 million kilowatt hours of electricity, 2 million cubic meters of natural gas, 116,000 cubic meters of water. So that's looking like, at this point, with the amount of the picture that we can see, 10,000 tons of carbon emissions. So in general, it's quite safe to say that the City of Waterloo has a large portfolio of facilities and a large carbon footprint. We also realize we have a responsibility, and we're doing something about it. We are the first municipality within our region to make this type of commitment. We're getting there. So, we have several projects that are in place. While we are looking at what we have currently in-house, we're also building, and these are two examples of current projects that are underway. We have the new fire station number 4 and the YMCA library. These facilities will both be LEED certified at completion. So while we have these new projects, we also have some projects that are established and currently ongoing. The gentlemen you see in the photo are standing on the green roof technology that you'll find at City Hall, and they're standing beside some solar panels. The other photo that you see is of a Met Tower, and the city is beginning to look at the feasibility of harnessing the wind's energy. So while we have capital projects, we also have, like Stephen mentioned, the day in and day out operations. Both of these things, both of these areas are key components to understanding our carbon emissions and working to reduce them. So before I end, I'd like to leave you with a few thoughts and a few words. Thomas Berry, in his book called The Great Work, had this to say: "We are not lacking in the dynamic forces needed to create the future. We live immersed in a sea of energy beyond all comprehension." When I look to Mike Morris and his group of folks, I think that they see in us, in each and every one of us, in the respective organizations that we represent, I think he sees that energy, the energy necessary that needs to be harnessed to create that new future. We at the City of Waterloo have found that in our collaboration with Sustainable Waterloo, we have begun to harness that energy within our own organization, to shift our organization towards greater levels of sustainability and indeed towards reducing our carbon emissions. If we, with all of the complexity in our organization that I've briefly described to you, can do it, I'm quite certain that your organizations can engage in this type of process as well. I encourage you to consider doing so. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna Marie. That was a terrific call to action. We're currently going to introduce someone from Sustainable Silicon Valley, so I'm going to pass the microphone to Mike, as he's the one who's truly fostered the relationship that we have with this organization. So Mike, if you want to come and briefly introduce them.
Thank you, Lisa. So SSV is an organization that my best friend Chris and I heard about just about 2 years ago as we were combing the internet for different ways that communities can rally together to respond to upcoming carbon emission pricing policy. Chris and I first emailed them in April of 2008 as we were starting to put the frameworks of how this whole process